I was in Lake Erie Correctional Institution. Because of my behavior, my level status in prisons, they judge by your ability to wreak havoc and do harm, what security level. My security level will be raised. I will end up in Lucasville, famous Southern Ohio Correctional Facility. In Lucasville, because I was in solitary confinement for 24 hours, I was in this cage by myself. In this cage, I would find myself. The Lord would use this cage as a detox. This would be how I would become myself, because I had nothing to hide behind. There was no more gambling, there was no more drugs, there was no more lying, manipulating. I wasn't getting visits. It was just me and the Lord. And the Lord would use this cage to mold me. He would use this cage to show me that this is not who you are. This sounds crazy. I've been in prison for a few years already. I got incarcerated in 1998. This was in 2002. This was the first time I realized I was in prison. This is when I woke up and I was in jail, and I'm like, what have I done in my life? Like, who am I? And it was like looking at myself and not knowing myself. So from there, I would work my way down through the security, and I was able to be out now. So I was still in Lucasville, but now I was able to go into the day rooms, go to recreation, go to the chow hall. And through all this time, the Lord would always give me mentors. These mentors would come into my life. I would follow them around. They would get a parole. They would leave. They would go. They would come and go. Always under mentorship. And this older brother saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And he brought me books. He would bring me these books, and I would try to read them, and I couldn't understand them. I couldn't understand what he was bringing me. And he taught me the importance of politics, and the importance of war, and the importance of philosophy, the importance of communication. And he became my first mentor. I had never had a mentor before. I didn't know what that meant. As this time that I'm building, now I get my status lowered again. So now I go down to a level 3 institution. When I'm at this level 3 institution, I've changed. So they sent me back to Trumbull, back to TCI. And so still guys there. And they saw me and it's like, you different. Like something's happened. Like you're different. Like you ain't the same, you're not the same person. And what it was, I didn't have the same thoughts. So I saw myself as different. So I moved different, I talked different, I was in different areas. So they saw me as different. From my background in loving to read and loving to educate myself, I quit my job at Rec and I got a job at the chapel. Because there was a brother that was a mentor from the Kairos program. He would still come up with like these follow-ups. So he said, here, read Romans. He said, you're a reader. He said, read Romans. So I'm reading Romans. So I had made this decision to study and want to figure out who is this guy? How does this thing work? From there, I would be transferred because I was being on my best behavior. I would be transferred down to a level 2. This is where I started with Lake Erie. So I would be trusted with the freedoms that happens in a level 2. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The lower you get in levels, the closer you get to level 1 means you're going home. Okay. So now in this level 2, I'm back in a situation where now I've been given more freedom to have more opportunity to be connected to the world. I had never been in a situation, a prison setting, where all the cool kids did good stuff. All the cool kids did good stuff. And I would see everybody, I'm like, oh wow, like I could be, it was an environment to become the person I needed to be at the right time. Life is about timing. So the death that I needed to happen to the old man was made, space was made available in Marion to do that without shame, to do that. And it didn't take a lot of courage. It was a very easy push. The Lord blessed me with that grace. So in the course of that year, I would take more programs than I've ever taken, cognitive behavior programs. So that cognitive behavior started really affecting my mind, started learning about myself, started learning about how to control my emotions, started understanding who Lewis is and where do these things come from. And it was a great beginning to the new me. So, but through this, that old guy had to die. There was always a struggle. It was always a struggle of right or wrong. It was always a struggle of how you handle this situation with the new mindset and the old mindset. And I wasn't always great at it. So there was this vision of who I wanted to be. And I saw it in all these guys that were up and down the hallways. And you know, they were really important. and they were really doing work, and they were leading programs, they were creating their own programs, they were involved with the staff. Like, the only thing I knew about the staff was if the staff come, I'm going in handcuffs, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So now they have relationships with the staff because they're building solutions for crime, they're building solutions for reentry. And I wanted to be one of those guys. And what all of those guys had was, they had like a briefcase. They either had a briefcase or a folder. And they walked around with a briefcase or a folder all the time. They always had a briefcase or a folder. I saw they was always walking, and they was important. I said, So what did I do? I cut my hair down low. I started putting pins in, got a little shirt, I started putting pins. I hitched my pants up. I got me a bright red folder. In prison, you can't have red.
Okay.
It's a passion color. They don't let you have no red shirts, no red clothes. But you can have red folders. I got a red folder, and I had notebook paper in it. I didn't have nothing in my folder.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what I had in my folder, but
it was a folder.
It was a folder. And I started walking like they walk.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I would start getting approached like, hey, brother, do you know, we got this program we started. You want to come and watch these videos? What do you want to do? And I'm like, okay. And I started getting like adopted by this whole new community of positivity, this whole new community of solution and change. Me and this fake red folder with some pens in my pocket like a nerd and some notebook paper. I went into Marion, the old me died, the new me was created. From Marion, I would get transferred to Grafton Correctional Institution. At Grafton Correctional Institution, I went there for one thing and one thing only. I was going home. I decided when I went there I wasn't leaving, and when I left, I would be going home when I left that gate. That was in 2009. So, because of the crime I had committed, I had to see the parole board. So I had to earn my freedom. I was not just given a date to be released. They did not just kick me out of prison like, oh, we're through with you. You did 18 years, you did 12 months. So I had 15 years with the opportunity of parole after 15 years.
Okay.
And on the other side of that 15 years was death. So if I didn't earn my parole, I would die in prison. After 15 years, in 2000, that would be 2013, the parole board saw me.
Okay.
And it's called a hearing. They give you a parole board hearing. So what you do is you have an opportunity to bring whatever you have done to show your growth and change, whatever family or community support you have, you get to present your case of why you should be released. In 2013, I had my first hearing in Grafton. I had taken programs, I was there, I was changing, I was doing some positive things. I went up to the parole board, they continued me 5 years. So in 2013, I received a 5-year continuance. The parole board was communicating with me. It said, Mr. Fields, we know you have an opportunity to leave here. We're gonna give you 5 years to figure it out because you're not there yet.
Okay.
So with those 5 years, I excelled, got super busy. I'm working, I'm a leader now, I'm doing all these things, I'm helping facilitate programs. I have genuinely become one of the red folder guys now. Yeah. I'm the authentic article now. I'm the guy. I'm really one of those guys. I had this great passion that I would get this parole. In 2018, it was my time. I was gonna go home, I was gonna take care of my dad. So I got there in 2018, I had like this many papers. I had letters, papers, all types of recommendations. I turned it into the parole board. I went, I had the hearing, I sat in the seat, we talked, we spoke. They gave me a 3-year continuance. When I got that continuance, I was at what they called a reintegration camp, which is the best place to be when you're in prison. That means I'm at level 1 now. So remember, when we go back, I've gone from, in prison, killing somebody, Lake Erie, getting caught a knife, outside case, Lucasville, walking, I'm at the creme de la creme, okay? When I got that continuance, I made a decision. I said, Lewis, you have taken every program you can take.
Yeah.
You have done everything you can do. And my last mentor went home. I got the time in April, he went home that month before. And I was looking for, because this was my habit, from Lucasville up, I would have a mentor. I was like a little duck. I'm looking for the next mentor. I'm looking for the next guy to take the pebble out of his hand. I couldn't find anybody. And I'm out on the yard, walking, I'm talking to the Lord. And it's just me and him. He said, it's your turn. You up. You need the mentor now. There is no mentor for you now.
Okay.
You have changed. You have went the old man to the new man. You're strong enough. You're wise enough. Because I knew in my heart, I was supposed to help people. I was supposed to help kids. I was supposed to find kids that were like me, that were confused, and help them. And I told the parole board that.
Yeah.
I told him I was going to do that. And God said, do it. I'm like, what? I just got 3 years. I ain't going to be out to do that. I ain't going to be at home to do that. The answer came back, do it, Lewis. Like, do it. And that's not realized. You don't need anybody else to lead you. You need now to take control of your own life, and you need to develop systems for others. So I did the opposite of what anybody would think made sense. I chose to go from a level 1 re-entry institution to a level 2. I went back up in levels on purpose. I went back into Grafton. So it's 2 sides to Grafton. We call it the walls and the camp. So I went from the camp to the walls, the more stringent, the cells and whatnot. Why did I do that though? I knew in level 2, I would have freedom of time, understood time. I would have freedom of time to design my own plans. At the camp, I was so engaged with working for others and being a leader with so much expectation every day, I never had time to do that. And it was enough. I had outgrew prison. It was time now for me to develop something different. It was a new level. And when I went back in, the only mission was to figure it out. He said, Lewis, you the example. You gotta work your way out of this and you gotta tell these people you going home. Not just guessing, there's no more guessing. You gotta tell them you going home in 2021. Because you have to be the example. And that is part of your parole. One of the criteria is your release. How will your release affect your peers? That is part of the criteria for parole, and I understand why it's there. I'm excelling. My parole board here in Dade is coming. I've created builders. I finally got it on paper. I got it approved. I got my little, they give you a room to work out of and everything in the ODRC, which is a blessing. And we get to create inmate-ran programs and then actually take the things we've learned and have a platform to apply them while we're in prison to prepare somebody. So I got it all rolled up. I sent it home. My dad said, I'm proud of you. One of the first times he ever said he's proud of me. 60 days later, he would die. I knew I wasn't gonna see him nowhere. I knew it. So through that death, it was life, because it's like, now, daddy ain't there. So now it's really like, it's you. It's you, you grown now. You grown. You got to figure out, you got your program, you got to figure it out. This is the next leg of the journey. You got a parole to get prepared for. You got to go out here and prove it. I'm moving and grooving. The ODRC allows you to bring in guests from the community to prove that you're doing something. So I'm bringing in these guests, and I realized that, you know what? For 2020, we're gonna bring in 50 guests. Sounds crazy. Never been done before. In Grafton. Now I'm talking about the state. We just dealing with Grafton. Me and my partner, Lonzo Queenie. I said, we're gonna bring in 50 guests through reentry. So we got all this planned. We got guests lined up every week. February of 2020, we had a unique opportunity. The Cleveland Cavaliers came into our institution. We all know what happened in March of 2020. The world shut down. This other thing, COVID came into our lives. So I got 50 guests lined up in prison. This is my way to get out. This is my way to prove everybody I got this program. I can come out, I can work for you. I can change people's lives. I'm gonna sell myself to all these people. I'm gonna pitch to them. I'm gonna bring them in. They're gonna get to see the guys. Other guys gonna get the pitch. I had this whole plan through reentry. Gate was closed. Plans thrown out the window. It affected the whole world. We all shut down. So I said, wow, wait a minute. The Lord said, well, you was gonna bring them in here. But remember, I'm ready to put you out here. You go out there to them. And everybody's terrified, because this is your business. COVID changed everybody's life. It'll never be the same. So these people, they're terrified of what's gonna happen. And I'm preaching hope. So I was able to make these bonds and connections on a personal level that would have never been possible if not for COVID. And this was the blessing in COVID. The ability to do that changed something in me. I would meet a man by the name of Tony Fleming. He would record my growth and change. The story I've given you, this is the very shortened version. It's as wordy as I've been. Got over 12 hours to this about certain situations of my growth and change. Recording that and having that out there on Spotify and Apple with his mental toughness calls. You know, what Mr. Fleming was able to do was to show me myself and show me how important my story was. And to be able to hear yourself is like amazing in storytelling and communication and media.
All right, Lou, we good here, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Mr. Fleming?
Good, good. You know, I was just reading an article on Larry Hoover, man, and how they got him in this supermax out in Colorado. They moved him.